entirely possible to just animate the character right from this point, but it would be nice to add just a couple more elements, some mechanics, if you will, that will allow us, for example, I want to be able to move this without having the feet slide around. So like if we try to walk, it's going to be difficult, as well as just make this a little bit easier to animate with. So controllers basically and some mechanics, right? So to do the legs here, what we're going to do is we're going to make a mechanic called IK. So we're going to switch over to edit mode. So make sure in legs in edit mode. Select this one, these two here, then hit E to extrude. I'm going to hit X so that they're straight back like that. Okay. Now we want to unparent these. So select this bone, and hit Alt P, and we want to clear the parent. Now they're no longer parented to that. So if you look, you can see I could pull them off. But I wanted them in the exact same position because that way when we do attach this, they'll be right where it is. Now, that being said, these can't just be floating around. They need to be parented. So with these selected, I'm going to shift click on the root joint and we're going to hit Control P and we're just going to do keep offset. That way they're parented to um, the body or the root, but they're not parented to the leg itself. Okay. That's all the setup we need for that. Now what we're going to do is go into pose mode. And what we're going to do is you're going to select this. We'll do one at a time. Select the shin, go to the bone constraints, and we want to add the inverse kinematics. Okay. It's going to ask for the target. So you're going to click on this. Then you're going to do it again. Click on this. Okay. So now that's the target. You're going to notice when I go to move this, it moves the whole body, right? Which could be a desired thing, but probably not. And that's because by default, this constraint is set to 0. So what we want to do is set it, meaning it goes all the way through the entirety of the body. We want to set it to 2 so that it does 1, 2 chains. And now if I grab this, you'll see I can grab this leg and it will move just the way I want. Now, there is also an option you'll see here for pole vector. If you're familiar with pole vector, you know what that is. But because our character is flat in 2D, it's not going to rotate in space. So this is totally fine. So that works fine. Now, the other issue with this, though, that you're going to see is when I move this, see how I don't have any control over that ankle, like the foot. See how it's just swinging? Which for the most part, that's what I want, right? It's probably pretty close, but it would be nice to be able to have it be straight and for me to specifically um, tell it how I want it to rotate. So to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to do another constraint. So if you want to do a constraint that imposes its will, you can go like this, and then you do add constraint, we do here. But another way of doing it is select the thing you want to do the constraining, then the constrainee, so select this, shift click this, then do Control Shift C. And then what we're going to do is we're going to copy rotation. And that's going to make it flip out. And the reason why it flips out is because the bone was here. Now it's snapping to here. So now it's like it rotated the leg and snapped it there. So that's obviously not what we want. So I'm going to click, there it is. Okay, so I got it here. What I want to do is change the space to local with parent and local with parent. And what that's going to do now is when I rotate this, you can see it will rotate that leg. And if we move it, you'll see it stays flat with that controller. Okay. So that way I can go like this, but then also rotate up like this. And so I have both basically things as an option. So this controls both elements. We're just going to do the same thing again. So I'm gonna select this. I'm gonna shift click this, Control Shift C. This time I'm gonna choose inverse kinematics. Once again, we have to do a joint chain of 2. Notice I don't have to go through that process of selecting this. That's good. Now we're gonna do is select this, shift click this, Control Shift C, or Command Shift C if you're on a Mac. We're gonna do copy rotation, and we want to do local with parent and local with parent. All right, and now when I go like this, you can see, voila, okay? And another benefit is when I move this, oh, they are moving with that, which I don't want to have happen. So we might need to actually change some of our stuff here. So let's say we take this guy and this guy. Let's go into edit mode. This guy and this guy and Alt P. We will clear parent. I think it's going to mess up when we go here. Or maybe it won't. Let's see. Oh, okay, that looks fine. Okay, so we'll have the benefit of basically those not being attached. Okay, so just clear that parent in edit mode. And now you can see our legs will stick, which will make it a little bit easier. Now you can do the same thing on the hands or the arms if you want. I don't suggest it because typically, especially for the walk, we're going to want it to swing. right? And so it's much easier to create a swing by leaving them more or less in this manner, okay? Okay, so the next things to do is to make our controllers a little bit easier to work with. So first off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the bone section here. I'm going to go to, or not bone, sorry. I'm going to go to all the bones. So it does it all of them. Go to data, and then I want to go to the viewport display. And here we can choose stick. You can choose B bone, envelope, or wire. So as far as I'm concerned, what you should choose is just stick. I think stick's a little bit cleaner. I think the other one's kind of hard to see and a little bit difficult to work with. Okay, so we're just going to choose stick. I think that will be easier. Again, we could just work right from the sticks. I think the sticks are fine. But I would like to make this a little bit fancier. So we're going to use some other controllers here. All right. So go to object mode. And what we're going to do is we are going to add an object. So hit Shift A. And what I want you to do is go to curve. And I want you to choose a circle. And it's going to look like a this. That's a nice circle. Okay. And let's rename this one. Actually, hang on a second. Shift A. Actually, get rid of that circle. I don't like that one. I'd rather do the mesh one because I trust that one a little bit more. So go to mesh and do circle. Okay. And rename this circle. So double click up here and we're just going to call it WGT underscore circle. Okay. And this will be a widget that we're going to use in order to make our controllers here. Okay. Well, I'm going to click back on the camera mode here. And we're going to go ahead and turn this thing off so I don't see it. Okay, so it's there, but we don't see it. But I need to have it in the scene. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to select the armature. We're going to go back into pose mode. And then what we can do is on the individual bones. So I'm going to grab this one, for instance, because this is something I want to be able to control. I want to go to the bone. And then you'll see that there is viewport. Okay, and then we can do bone color. So I can change what that bone color is. Um, let's make it red. So now you'll see it's red. It's kind of easier to see. The other thing I want to do is I can choose a custom shape. So I'm going to click on this. I'm going to start typing in WGT and I'm going to choose circle. And now you'll see there's a circle there. And that will now be my foot controller. Now you can adjust the size and position of this. So like, let's say I'm like, oh, that's too big. I can go, I'm going to click and drag down. I'm going to type in like 0.75. And now it's that size. Or if you want to, offset it, like I can like, oh, it's not quite where I want it, right? You can basically move that around and adjust it how you would like. Okay, so that's a little more obvious that this is one of the bones I want to be able to control. So I'm going to select this one here. I'm going to do the same thing. Let's do WGT. The bone color. Oh, it should be pose. Let's do that one. Pose bone color. Um, Make sure that this one's also that because I don't know. I think that's going to change the color for when we're in the when we're in edit mode, and I actually don't care about that. And I'm just going to change these also to 0.75. Okay. All right, so those now are my foot controllers, okay? Which is a little more obvious instead of having the little thing sticking out, okay? Now from there, we can start to put in controllers for our other elements. So I could select this. Once again, I'm going to do just pose bone color. We'll do red. And I'm just going to do WGT again and choose that. And you're going to see it's going to be this. It's way too big. So let's do like 0.25. That's a little bit easier to work with. And then I'll grab this one. I'm just going to do that all the way down the line. Pose bone color. We'll do red. And you can change different colors if you want as well. WGT. And then I'm once again going to do 0.25, right? And then we'll do the same thing down here. Oops, get out of here. Boom, and WGT. And we'll again do 0.25, okay? And you'll notice that they're going to change the scale depending on the size of the bones themselves. So the longer the bones, the bigger the object's going to be. So I'm just going to go right down the line and basically do this for all of the controllers that I want, all of my things that are meant to be basically controllers. So T circle 0.25, and then we'll go here and boink and WGT. This will just make it a little bit easier to work with. Okay. because I don't want to be able to control the legs here. I do need to be able to control these here, so we're gonna have to do the same thing again. It's a little annoying because you basically have to do it um, to each one individually, which can be a little bit annoying. Let's do 0.5 for that. And I'm just gonna go right down the line. I know that this is, you could just be doing it while I'm doing it, so you don't have to watch me do it. But I want to do the whole process in front of you. That's not what I meant to do. 0.5. So that way, there's no mystery as to like I did something behind the scenes. Um, 0.5. Oh, see, like this one's a little bit too big for what I want. So let's do like 0.4. And then this one. So you might have to adjust the size depending on the what you're working with here. 0.5. So that one's also a little bit bigger than I'd like. Let's do 0.35. Have them get a little bit smaller as they go up. And then we'll do the head. So I would probably make different shapes, and you can manually make shapes if you want to as well. But I'm not. Oops, I want to do all of them. 0.25. That's too big. I do want it to be bigger than the other ones. 2.2. We'll go with that's fine. And then there's this guy up here, and again like this, WGT, and let's just do 0.5. Okay. So now I have all these things in here. That looks pretty good. One other thing I want to have happen is I don't want to actually see these because this could get confusing. Like I can select them. I also want to make these controllers so that I can do this if I need to as well. So we're going to select this one and do the same thing too. Okay, and then we'll just do 0.40. That's fine. And this one, WGT, and 0.4. Okay. So basically, I don't want to have these shown. So the other thing we can do is I can go to my data here, and you'll see right now, if I do bones, they're all inside of this bones layer, which I can turn on and off. Would be nice is to have multiple ones, right? So let's rename this, and we'll call these DEF, okay? And let's make another one, and we're going to call this one um, controls, okay? Like that. So right now, everything is part of DEF, and nothing is part of controls. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click and drag over everything, and let's add them, let's assign them here, and then we're going to go to this one, and we're going to remove them from there. So now you'll see when I turn this one off, it turns them off and on, and this one has no effect, okay? What I want to do is on the DEF, I want to put just these bones, basically. This one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. We're going to assign those to here, and then we're going to remove them from here. And now what I can do is if I turn this off, I no longer see those. And I can only see the ones that we can rotate. And that's just a little bit easier, I think, to work with. You now have this section here, which you might not want. So if you just right click over top of it, when it turns into the double arrows, you can go ahead, I'm going to do join right, and that'll make it go away. And now you'll see we have basically. Oh, I just rotate. Oh, that's kind of neat. Rotating it kind of gives it a weird illusion. That was not what my original intent was, but it sort of works. Maybe I'll use that as a rotation instead. But now we can rotate all these pieces by basically grabbing our parts here, and you know, we can animate our character. So, yay! All right. So, for all intents and purposes, our character is now rigged and ready to animate.